I wanted to get into the difference between a philosophical dispute versus a semantic dispute. Now, one should think of a philosophical dispute in terms of a conceptual dispute, right? We're talking about maybe what follows from a particular concept, or what sets of propositions are in conflict with one another to where like we need to change our beliefs, right? Whereas a semantic dispute is more of a practical dispute in terms of the usages of the words. It's like a language dispute, right? And so, yes, there is a distinction between our concept versus the language that is used to describe it or represent it, right? Um, so if there's something in the world, let's say something that has fur with whiskers that says meow or calls out meow, um, you know, we might use a particular word to describe that thing, cat, right? And so, if someone came along and said, well, there's this thing in the world that has all those things, except instead of meow, it goes bark, right? It barks, right? And we might understand that those are obviously two different things, right? The thing that barks versus the thing that meows. But imagine if I said that we should call that thing that meows a cat, and they think that they should call that thing that meows a dog, right? Well, that's just not how I use the word, right? So, yes, you could debate about, well, if you want to communicate with people well, you need to use this utterance, this word, to denote the thing that goes meow, right? But notice there's not really a difference in concepts. We do have the same idea about, we differentiate the thing that says meow and the thing that barks, but we're using different representations of these things, right? And so you can have a whole debate about that. Now, I think that's fairly uninteresting, right? Well, okay, you want to be confusing, you can call the thing that says meow or that calls out meow a dog, but that's just not how I use the term. Okay. So that's just it, right? That a philosophical dispute has to deal with our difference in concepts, right? Whereas a semantic, or sometimes called a verbal dispute, right, is not so heavy on the concepts, right? It's heavy on the usages of the words, right? And now, unfortunately, this phrase "talking past each other" really reflects a semantic dispute that hasn't really been identified yet, right? Imagine these people, right? That one used the sound dog, the word dog, to represent the thing that goes meow, and that's not been kind of revealed or divulged to the person they're talking to, right? Then they're gonna say all sorts of things that the other person is gonna take to be false, right? And if that's not cleared up, right, you can be fooled into thinking that there's some kind of conceptual dispute. Now, also a kind of fallout from the fact that there is such a distinction is that many people use this as a rhetorical device, as a kind of objection or rebuttal to someone's argument for a particular position. So let's say I give an argument A is B and B is C and therefore A is C, and then for whatever reason, right, they find that argument to be inconvenient, or they seem some kind of prima facie issue with it. But rather than doing the intellectual work to show which premise is not right, they'll say, oh, you're just playing with the words. This is just semantics, right? Well, the best response that I have is to say, well, what word am I using differently than you are, right? Because if there's a semantic dispute, that question can be answered, right? So you have to be very careful about identifying these sorts of conversations as to not waste your time, right? And to kind of nip it in the butt, you need to ask the question: okay, what word are we disagreeing? If it is truly a semantic dispute, because I took our dispute to be a conceptual issue, right? And here, just as a reminder, I'm linking the philosophical dispute to just a conceptual dispute, because I just take to be, at least in the analytic tradition, the Western methodology of doing philosophy, to be a kind of analysis of concepts, right? We're not so much interested, at least the people that approach philosophy in that way, and how should we use the words, right? But yeah, I just wanted to share those thoughts, just to kind of, for y'all to be aware, right, of these this distinction, such that you don't waste your time, and you can really address people that are trying to escape a real conceptual dispute by saying it's just merely, or just using the words differently.